Hi everyone, welcome to Wellness Day, a podcast coming to you every Wednesday from here at the Jehangir Wellness Center. My name is Jehangir. I will be your host as we journey through this maze of wellness together. I am joined here today by Dr. Radhika Patil. She's the head of the Physiotherapy Department at Jehangir Hospital and here at the Jehangir Wellness Center. And we're going to talk about all things nutrition, all things exercise, all things wellness. I'm very much looking forward to this discussion. I have a bias towards exercise and any kind of movement form, so I'm going to be very excited, and hopefully we won't run into hours and hours and hours of discussion. But if we do, that's our gain. So thank you very much for being here, Radhika.
Thank you so much, Kawas. It's a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. So let me just go straight into it then. I'll ask you the first question. Sure. What does wellness mean to you?
So wellness to me means to be able to do the things that I would want to do in life. So whether it's going out for a run or playing with my children or being able to travel, do all the things that I would like to do, to enjoy them and to have fun while doing it. So that is what wellness is to me. It is also, of course, a state of mind where you are able to enjoy these things. So that sense of accomplishment, satisfaction in whatever you do in life, that would be wellness to me.
And how do you try and achieve that? What do you do to try and stay well?
I don't want to sound like a cliche, but yes, exercise, diet, and just enjoying life, enjoying your work. Being passionate about what you do. I think all these things make for a great mix of...
And I can tell that you definitely enjoy what you do.
Oh, yes, I do. Yes.
And that's honestly the feedback I get from everyone, is that we all want to come to Radhika because when she works on us in the physiotherapy department, we just feel healed even after one session. So it's very clear that you're very passionate about what you do. And exercise is something that we both love talking about.
Yes.
So Radhika, what are the most common problems that you're seeing in the physiotherapy department with people coming in?
In our department, I'd just like to give a short background about what we do.
Absolutely.
Since Jehangir is a multi-speciality hospital, we cater to all different fields offered by our hospital as their scope of services, right? So we not only work with orthopedics and musculoskeletal disorders, but we also do a lot of work with neurology. We work with cardiac sciences. We work in critical care areas. We work with obstetrics and gynecology. We do a lot of work with prevention, preventive health care, and so on. So the sky is the limit, actually. There are so many things we would like to skill ourselves with and continue to do and continue to add our services to. But that was a little bit about our acute care services.
Right.
Now, if we go into like our long-term care, so we take care of a lot of chronic conditions as well. Stroke comes to mind immediately. People who require rehabilitative services for a longer period of time. Then something that's very close to my heart is sports rehab. So we not only work on preventive methods of, preventing injuries in sports people, but also then post-surgical issues that people have, and then rehabilitating them to get back on the field. So that is also something that we do really well, I think, at our workplace. And of course, we are working a lot with probably some things like obesity. We're looking at a lot of diabetes in our clinic, and then people coming in for advice as to how to exercise with multiple disorders. And that is what I think is our skill.
Okay.
And we help people do that no matter what their background or what their issues are.
So what are the kind of typical issues that you see in people that are coming from us?
In OPD, we look at a lot of people who are sedentary. So typically you will have the IT worker or housewives or our students even,
Yeah.
who seem to be sitting most of the time in the day, and then they have all these neck and back issues that crop up initially, and then it goes into full blown metabolic disorders like weight gain. It starts with that, and
Yeah.
then it builds up with your lipid profile going haywire, and then you have things like diabetes or heart trouble later on in life. So it starts at a very young age. It's not something that you get suddenly, but it starts
And it's
building
starting
up.
younger and younger now.
Yes, I would say that almost 50% of our cases are in their 30s and 40s who have had heart issues.
Why is that happening?
Again, lifestyle, because our parents, I think, were much active, more active than we are. People today, or even children today, you would see that biggest source of entertainment is their phone.
Absolutely, yeah.
People have tablets. People are just basically sitting, and we pay a lot of attention on academics, I feel, especially in our country. So
Oh, I don't know about that. I did much with.
well, I'm probably getting into like opening a can of worms now, but I think even schools don't encourage too much of physical activity. We want our children to sit in place, be disciplined, and
Get
study.
X% and
Yes,
those kind
and
of things.
study. So that's what is leading to all these issues.
So coming to back to the lifestyle thing, everyone has to work and things like that. So there's obviously no way to get around that kind of thing. But if someone had, 5 minutes or 10 minutes a day, that's all they had. What would you recommend that they do for the best bang for their buck to do some kind of exercise? Because you said anything that's non-sedentary
Yes.
is helpful.
Yes.
So if they only had that 5-10 minutes at the most, what is something that you recommend? Is it 5-10 minutes of walking? Is it stretching? Is it some kind of yoga? Is it something that's high intensity?
Yeah,
Training.
so that's a very good question, and there are people who actually come up with these sort of questions to us in our clinic as well. But what I would say is, if you have 10 minutes to give to exercise, then I would congratulate that person. So you are already,
One step ahead.
yes, you're already thinking about doing something with yourself. So given that time, then I would ask a person to warm up quickly for about a couple of minutes and then get straight into a whole body kind of exercise. So whether it's dancing, something like Zumba, just put on some music and go for it. Or it can be something like high intensity interval training, which we call HIIT. Or we could do something like Surya Namaskar. Which
And dancing, you don't have to be good or bad at.
Exactly.
Or maybe if you're doing it in front of people, it's a different issue.
Exactly, yes. And you could do Surya Namaskar, for example, so which works out your entire body,
Yeah.
and then give a couple of minutes to cool down again. But then I would also ask that person to remain active throughout the day, which means that you don't sit for long periods of time. So even if you are working out high intensity for 10, 15, 20 minutes in a day, you should not be sitting for the rest of the day. So just being on your feet, doing
Right.
little things, picking up your water bottle from another table instead of from next to you.
Take the stairs.
You take the stairs instead of the lift. Go and talk to your colleague instead of calling them. So things like that, they make all the difference, and it's really a myth that you need to exercise, as in sweat and
Absolutely.
work out hard for an hour to get benefits. No, it's not that. It's something as simple as being active and moving your body around throughout the day, which can give you equally good results.
Absolutely. Walking is one of the best things that I found.
Yes, yes. And just to step up the intensity, depending on who the person is, how old or young that person may be, then you can step up the intensity by making it a brisk walk, or you can, break into a very slow
Yeah.
jog and so on. So there is a lot of
Yeah.
different.
And the great thing about walking is that you can do multitasking, or you can multitask.
Absolutely, you can
Be on
be
both calls or
on your call. You
listen
can
to this
listen
podcast.
music. Yes, yes. Why not? Yes.
Yeah, and the benefits of walking are also on your mood and things like that are just, fantastic.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And anyone can do it. Anyone can do
Exactly.
it, no matter what your age or your condition.
I've been reading a lot about the benefits of walking, and it's fantastic.
Yeah.
One of the interesting things actually that I was reading about walking, I don't know whether it sounds right. Maybe I'll pretend to be a doctor for
Okay.
30 seconds, and you can correct me if I'm wrong or not. But I mean, we've got cells in our body, particularly mitochondria. Apparently now, typically when we go for, or when the body is looking for energy, it goes to, carbs or glucose is where we want to get our energy from.
Right.
But we also have fatty cells,
Fat cells.
cells in the body and things like that. And that fat doesn't mean bad. It's just there.
Right.
But apparently, the more that we walk, the cells start learning that there are different kinds of fuel in your body.
Yes,
So you're not
absolutely
always
right.
going to the carbs or
Yes.
the fancy fuel.
Yes.
You can actually go to the diesel, equally good fuel.
Right.
And because walking is low intensity, the body realizes that, hey, I don't need this
Yes.
fancy fuel, so we go to the fatty fuel and
Yes.
start
Yes.
pulling from that.
Also, I would add to that saying that the duration that you do something
Exactly.
matters. So initially you would probably be using up your carbs and your blood sugar that's already, ready for
Right.
usage. But after a certain number of minutes, say about 10, 20 minutes, that's where your body starts tapping into the
Exactly.
other reserves.
Exactly.
And
that's where the metabolism, or what people think about metabolic health,
yes,
is where that's
yes,
improving. And things like that.
absolutely, absolutely. So
And yeah, that sounds very sciencey and things like that. But what the overall concept of what it gave me is that the human body is so perfect as a machine if you allow it to be.
Absolutely, it is. It is. I agree with that completely. And there's hardly any limits to what a human body can achieve. You see, we start exercising. We take walking as an exercise, but then there is so much more that we can do. We can swim. We can, And the thing with the body is the more different types of exercise that you do, the better it responds. So just doing one thing every single day probably doesn't cut it for a lot of people if they want to lose weight or want to see gains in their blood reports, for
Yeah, yeah.
instance. But if they try and mix it up and, do yoga on one day and Zumba on the other and walk a third day and then, mix it up in that way.
What do you do? What's your kind of routine? Let's hear from the expert what they do.
Okay, I am pretty pretty bad when it comes to exercise.
Oh, so you're a hypocrite?
No, I don't want to be. But yes, I try to get in at least 40 minutes of walk oblique jog
That's good.
every day. And then probably 2 or 3 times a week, I will gather up some of the doctors in our hospital.
I see that. Yeah.
Yeah, and then do an hour of, something, a mixture of Zumba and Pilates, which I really love.
Yeah.
And also some resistance training along
Yeah, I
with
was going to say that is probably one of the most important things or aspects of
yes.
exercise that
Yes.
one needs to look at. I'm very biased towards it because I love it, but I think the benefits of it are number one.
Immense. I would say if you want to have or experience healthy aging,
Exactly.
then that is certainly the way to go. Because if you have good muscles, there will be everything that you would be able to do when you're older. I feel a lot of times when I'm talking with my patients, I give them the example of having insurance, right? So if you invest in something or you buy in health insurance, you're kind of making sure that you have
Absolutely.
something that you can rely on when you're old. But do we do that for our health?
Exactly.
Do
Like
we
saving
ever-
for retirement.
Exactly. Do we save or do we work out so that we are healthy older people? So that is exactly the point that I like to talk about with so many people
Yeah.
that come into our clinics, that just think about what sort of retirement would you like to have.
Exactly.
And if you want to travel, then that means At 60, you should be able to haul a 20 kg suitcase off the belt.
Exactly.
And if you want to do it at 60, you should be able to do double that.
I was
now.
going to talk about this, exactly this, because
Yes.
I did some research on this, and we were talking about the aspect of muscle and the aging of that. Apparently, after 40, which I'm nowhere close to, and just by the way, after 40, every year you lose about 1% of your muscle mass,
That's true.
and which is quite scary. But the other scary thing is that you actually lose about 5% of your strength every year.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so, you compound that over a period of time. I sort of did the math on that. So exactly what you're talking about, moving a suitcase or something. So say, for example, if someone can do an exercise of lifting, 100 kilos, which also I can do very easily today.
Oh, yes. I believe that.
No, anyway, assuming someone can
Yeah.
lift something, 100 kilos today,
Yes.
or when they're 40, assuming that they don't do anything or they become sedentary at that age, when they become 80, they can only lift about 14 or 15 kilos.
These are exactly the kind of people we see bedridden at 70 and 80.
Exactly.
And these are exactly the people who have never done anything, to remedy that earlier on in life.
But just the number is so stark, from 100
It is.
to 12 or 13 when you're 80.
It is. It is. It just goes.
And that's the definition of aging.
Yeah. It just goes really fast after a certain point. But the good news is that it's very easily remedied.
Exactly.
Because if you work out your muscles, you're never going to lose them. And muscle mass is not directly proportional to strength. Right?
Exactly.
So even if you lose muscle mass, you can keep up
Maintain
your
strength.
strength. So it's not that difficult. It's just 2 or 3 times a week that you need to work out
Exactly.
and move your body and move your muscles and do some weights. And it's as simple as that.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you. That's why we're always on the same page when I'm coming to see you in the physiotherapy department. Luckily, with nothing too bad so far. That's good. Anyway, I have one last question for you, Radhika. What is the advice that the knowledgeable and experienced Radhika today would give two people? One, the young Radhika who is just starting up as a physiotherapist, and two, the young Radhika who's just the young Radhika. So life advice.
Life advice. Okay. To myself, I would probably ask myself to have become involved with exercising a lot earlier than what I have now, because I think after I got married, my husband was very interested in doing a lot of sports and things like that, and he's kind of pushed me into doing a lot of things.
So advice is also to get married then.
Yeah, to the right person.
Oh, yeah, that's
That
probably the best
the
advice.
point is that, yes. But surround yourself with people who, have their right principles in place, with the right ideas in place, and help each other to improve your health. Especially because we are talking about health right now, but it really helps to have people who are focused and interested in the same
Absolutely,
things
yeah.
as you are. Because just talking with you, it makes me think myself what I have done today or what I have achieved today. Or even if Mr. Jehangir, your father, if he tells me he's cycled 20 kilometers today, it makes me think, and it makes me feel proud of having friends like that, and then it makes me want to do more as well.
Absolutely.
So that is something that is very helpful when you
Surround yourself in that environment.
Exactly. And then, of course, have fun while doing it. Not every kind of exercise is good for or helps or is enjoyable for everyone. So you need to find
What works for you.
What works for you. Exactly.
Yeah.
So what you feel good with.
Right.
But something.
Absolutely. Exactly. That's the number one thing. I always say that regardless of whether you're spending 2 hours in the gym or whether you're spending 10 minutes walking, I have full respect for anyone who's doing that.
Yes.
Because I'd rather be the oldest person in the gym rather than being the youngest person in a hospital.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes. No question
That's
about that.
my kind of overall philosophy. Well, thank you so much, Radhika, for being here. It was lovely talking to you, and it was absolutely motivating to hear that we can do actually so little just to stay healthy, but we have to do it.
Absolutely. Yes.
And it can be enjoyable, which is the fun
And
part.
it's never too late to start.
Exactly. I love you. Absolutely correct. So thank you again for being here.
Thank you.